What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Happy Friday. I'm Hayley Lewis, and this is Chiefs News Daily. We got a good episode ahead for you. We got ESPN's Matt Miller, NFL draft analyst, joining us now to talk through some of those prospects who could come in and help Kansas City this offseason. So without further ado, give us a like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel, and let's get going. Our lives have really not slowed down, because it would have been a little bit better had the Chiefs won. There would have been time to celebrate, enjoy, and then think about the 2025 season. Instead, it's very much so expected that Brett Veach and the Chiefs organization hits the ground running so that the debacle that we witnessed never happens again. When you were watching the Super Bowl, let's just get this out of the way. Thoughts on the Super Bowl?
I was shocked, truly. And I, as you know, Hayley, I'm not a Chiefs fan, even though I'm from Missouri. I play it right down the middle. And I had picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl in the preseason. So there was that part of me that was I want to be right. I'm friends with the entire KCSN crew. I want it for you guys, my wife and kids. I want, for so many people in my life, I wanted the three-peat for them. So I was shocked. Not that the Chiefs lost, but that they got blown out. It was 34-6 at some point or something, right? That's what shocked me more than anything, was how big the gap was between Philadelphia and Kansas City.
Yeah, it was even worse in person, I will say. Very excited that I got to actually go to the game. But when they were up 34-0, I thought, okay, maybe Patrick Mahomes isn't coming back in the second half. So definitely very frustrating to see. It reminded me a lot about Super Bowl 55 a couple years back, when Patrick Mahomes was running around for his dear life against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and good old Tom Brady. So now they look forward to maybe fixing those issues, right? Making sure this never happens again. And it starts with the offensive line. So as we get ready to get into your bread and butter of the year, talking about the NFL Combine coming up, the NFL Draft, if you were in Veach's shoes, what would be the first things that you do? Do you go out and get a veteran? Do you look at the draft and decide to pick a rookie again? What would you tell little Brett Veach to do?
I would go after a veteran. And I know I say, I'm a draft guy, and I say this, that I would still go after a veteran, because I think you're going to probably have a rookie at right guard. I don't think you want a situation where you have a rookie at left tackle and a rookie at right guard. So that would be my strategy. And I know the free agent tackle class is not great. Ronnie Stanley's out there, Alaric Jackson, Jedrick Wills. It's not great. There's gonna be some other guys who are available via trade. Tron Armstead might be available. Braxton Jones could maybe be available from the Chicago Bears. So those aren't when you can go get a Mitchell Schwartz and you have an all-pro at right tackle. Those guys don't hit free agency very often. But I would still go the veteran route. It's so hard, Hayley, to find a plug-and-play left tackle at pick 31 in the draft. It almost just doesn't happen. If you look at the best tackles in the NFL right now, most of them were drafted very early in the top. Definitely in the top 20. So it's a spot where you're either going to have to trade up pretty high, or you're going to have to go the veteran route for at least a little bit longer.
Yeah, and for Kansas City, it's tough because they have $11.5 million in cap space right now. Obviously, some finagling is going to happen with maybe some of those larger salaries for the Chiefs. And then the draft picks just aren't as great as they were in years past for what Kansas City is going to work with. Oh, and let's throw in the mix, Trey Smith might not be coming back to be a Kansas City Chief again. So there's another bomb on your offensive line. When the Chiefs have limited picks in the draft, any advice on how are they even supposed to start making this board make sense?
The big key is, and I know you guys haven't been here in a long time, so you don't remember how this works, right? But you can't fix everything in one offseason. That's the important thing to know. And especially, we haven't even talked about some veterans who might retire and you have to then replace them. This is just obvious need left tackle, obvious need right guard, because Trey has probably priced himself out of Kansas City. I hope not, but probably has. So the key is, I think you have to go into it understanding you can't solve everything in one draft. And I think the hope is probably that one of the tackles that you drafted in the second round, maybe they are an option at right guard. That would be ideal. If Kingsley can play right guard, if Wanya Morris can play right guard, and obviously they're not going to be at Trey Smith's level, but if they can play right guard at a replacement level, you're a step ahead. And then you can look at pick 31 and say, okay, well, we think we have right guard figured out. Now we are able to look at defensive tackle, defensive end, corner, middle linebacker, tight end, running back. There are a lot of needs on this team that, because they've been so good and will be again next year, but because 3 Super Bowls in a row, 4 in 5 years, I think some decisions have been made to keep that group together instead of replacing them, because it's hard to replace them when you're winning. But I think now those conversations can happen of, okay, we actually do need to invest in some of these spots where guys are getting older and starting to show the regression.
How is the tackle class looking? How is the maybe just more general offensive line class looking for this draft?
It's light, and I think the combine list came out yesterday, and that was the first thing I noticed was, wow, there just aren't a lot of offensive linemen who were invited to the combine. The tackle class it's not super top heavy. Will Campbell from LSU, Kelvin Banks from Texas will probably both be top 10 picks. That's a safe range for them. After that, there's a drop off to guys like Josh Simmons from Ohio State, who tore his patella tendon. He was out for like half the year. Josh Connerly from Oregon's going to be in the mix there. Cameron Williams from Texas, he's a right tackle. He's going to be in the mix. Our buddy Tucker Franklin's favorite offensive lineman, Armand Membo from Missouri, is in the mix, but he's a right tackle or a guard only. So it is a good group. What's interesting about this tackle class, of those 6 players I just mentioned, every one of them, I've had a scout say, yeah, he might be a guard. So to get there's not a Joe Alt in this draft. There's not a Penei Sewell. I know both those guys are playing right tackle right now, but that level of prospect doesn't exist in this draft.
All right, so that's definitely something to take of note when looking at how the combine's going to go. And then, of course, as we get closer and closer to Green Bay, which is like less than 2 months away, it's all wild how it all blurs together. Matt, if you're looking at the Chiefs, though, some of the other position groups that are having some questionable maybe issues is like, I think wide receiver number 1, just because simply they brought in these veteran guys, and although maybe the best thing that they brought to the team wasn't necessarily their skill set, was some leadership, was some morale, different things like that, they've got to find that wide receiver. And Xavier Worthy had a lot of that on his plate and did a great job. They have a guy like Hollywood Brown who might be coming back. We'll have to see how that goes. But how does Kansas City address that, knowing that Rashee Rice might not be seeing the football field in 2025 with this upcoming draft?
That is such a huge point. I think you're pressing the NFL office to let you know ASAP how long that suspension is going to be.
Right?
Go ahead and let us know so that we can prepare for this. But I think also the other side of that, Rashee Rice is coming back from a pretty serious knee injury as well. So it's not just the suspension that's looming. Is he back to 100%? Where is he at in terms of that? So there are a lot of questions. I do think this receiver class, there might be 5 guys drafted in the first round. Okay. Luther Burden, obviously, Tet McMillan, Travis Hunter, if you want to count him as a wide receiver, Matthew Golden from Texas, Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State. Those guys are probably off the board in the top 31 picks. We're all trying to find out who that next guy is going to be. Like, who's the next wide receiver that's going to come off the board? Because this is not the year where there's 7 really good wide receivers and you're super excited about the receiver pool. Like, that's not there this year. So I think for the Chiefs, it's like, if you're looking for that true number 1, no questions asked, that doesn't exist. And I know I just said, sorry guys, that left tackle doesn't exist in this draft. The receiver really doesn't either. It's more, I think there's some really good wide receiver 2s. There's some really good wide receiver 3 types. So I think your hope is, and especially as you move into a post Travis Kelce being the number 1 option in the passing game, even if he's back next year, as we move forward from that, it's like, gosh, a lot more is going to be put on Xavier Worthy. And it will be fun to see how this offense evolves around that, knowing that he's probably going to be the number 1 receiver. And then I think your hope is that you do get a Hollywood Brown back and he's fully healthy and he can acclimate into the offense. And maybe Rashee Rice only gets a 4-game suspension, and so you're thinking about, okay, by October, we're actually running at full speed again.
I'm more and more now understanding what you were saying. It can't all get fixed this offseason.
It does.
It's not looking like the perfect world is going to exist for Kansas City. Might look like just a little bit of a Band-Aid coming from the draft as we get closer. I do want to talk about Travis Kelce, and then I want to get to the other side of the ball and talk about the Chiefs secondary. If Travis Kelce doesn't come back, right now Kansas City's pretty much working with, they brought that rookie TCU, Jared Wiley, come out. ACL injury, again, same thing. He's not ready to go by training camp, right? This is an injury that's going to keep him sidelined for part of the 2025 season as well. They brought in Jody Fortson, ACL injury. They have Noah Gray. That has been kind of their bread and butter so far. Is there even a tight end in Kansas City's, I guess, range at all?
Yes, this is a great tight end. Here's the good news. It is a great tight end draft. It is great. So Tyler Warren from Penn State will be gone. Colston Loveland from Michigan will probably be gone, but there's a shot. There's a shot. Tight ends always fall in the draft. Even Brock Bowers did last year. But even if those two are off the board, it is still a great tight end draft. Elijah Arroyo from Miami, Mason Taylor from LSU, Gunnar Helm from Texas, Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. Those 4 guys are all second-round players. So one of them at 31, like Elijah Arroyo at 31 is not too early. If Travis hangs him up and is ready for that gold jacket, you could draft Elijah Arroyo at 31. It would be great value, and he is a fantastic athlete. He's a great up-the-field route runner. He's able to get open against safeties because he's so athletic. Like, that would be... you can't replace Travis Kelce with one draft pick. It doesn't work that way. But if you're looking for someone who can be kind of what a young Travis was, is like a seam buster and give you some of that yards after catch, Arroyo would be a really, really good fit.
Okay, you are giving Chiefs Kingdom a little bit. I know you're not Homer, so I know you're going to shoot me straight, but you're warming up. You're getting there. So let's go to the other side of the ball real quickly and talk about the secondary. We knew it was going to, this is what we were talking about the draft last year. L'Jarius Sneed getting the franchise tag, obviously being traded to the Tennessee Titans. That was going to be a gaping hole in the backfield for Kansas City. They bring in Trent McDuffie, kind of fills in that void. They have a rotation of players playing across the field from Trent this past season. It didn't really all pan out. Now, free agency might be a way that they kind of patch up the secondary, but is there corners that are maybe popping that you think could maybe find a home in Kansas City?
Yeah, so the corner class, I only have 2 corners with a first-round grade. Will Johnson from Michigan, Jahdae Barron from Texas. They're going to go top 15 probably. But there are a lot of corners with an early round 2 grade, and that would be a fine fit for where Kansas City's at. Trey Amos, who we saw at the Senior Bowl, Azariah Thomas was the Senior Bowl guy, Maxwell Harrison from Kentucky, also a Senior Bowl guy. And then there's 2 players who were hurt, Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame and Savone Revel from East Carolina. Revel and Morrison would probably be first-round picks had they been healthy. So there's a chance, we'll see them in a couple weeks at the Combine. Maybe the medical stuff's clear, and it's okay, they're back. They're back to being first-round players. So I think the depth at corner is good this year, especially for what Kansas City's looking for, guys who have some length, guys who have some swagger. We saw Kobe Bryant at the East-West Shrine. I would be very happy with Kobe Bryant in Kansas City because he, I think, fits that model of he has the speed to play man. And my goodness, is he a confident young man. So it will be eager to see him back there. Yeah, he'll talk a little. Yeah, but he backs it up. So I'm okay with it.
There you go. Okay, well, that is all the time we have for. But hey, you gave us a little bit of hope. You started off strong, and then you gave us some of that hope, and then you wrapped it up with a little bit of a compliment at the end. So we're going to call it a perfect bow here. Matt, appreciate your expertise. We'll see you at the NFL Combine, and we'll be, I'm sure, again, talking about some of these things relating to the Kansas City Chiefs once more.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
All right, folks, that does it for another episode of Chiefs News Daily. In the meantime, like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your weekend. We're taking a little bit of a break. We will see you next time at the NFL Combine.